Now, this is a question I've been asked a lot recently, and especially in discussing leaf shutters and high-speed sync. Now, high-speed sync on a conventional camera operates off of pulsing the light. It's actually so fast you can't see it. You actually have a focal plane shutter where a first curtain is moving and the second curtain. So you actually have a moving slit, and this is why you get a black bar at the base. In true high-speed sync with a leaf shutter, however, you can sync at any speeds. But the caveat with that is that sometimes how you say goofy things, it sticks in your brain. You can't take a cow of light and shove it through a needle of time, time being the shutter speed. Now with the Fuji X100T over here, for example, while it will obviously sync at any shutter speed, including 1/4000th of a second, we can't put a cow of light. What is a cow of light? Now, here for example, and this is typical, the flash duration, or T1 time, at minimum power, which is 2.5 watt seconds. Actually, I'm going to pulse it at 2.5 watt seconds. You see, that's not much light. That's at 1/1450th of a second, 1/1450th of a second. Now, I'm going to blast it at full power. Okay. That is going to be a cow of light at basically 1/1000th of a second, 1/975th of a second. People have asked me, say, well, if I have the same power output, I notice that when I move from 1/1000th of a second shutter speed on my Fuji to 1/4000th, that the exposure remains the same. That's correct, because you have 1/4000th of a second of shutter through the leaf shutter, but you have an enormous cow of light trying to get through that 4,000th of a second. So this is the real point, and this is also true of speed lights, that at full power it works out to be right at, on most speed lights. Doesn't matter if it's Canon, Nikon, Yongnuo. This is the T1 time. Okay. At minimum power, it's 1/1450th of a second. At a full blast, it's basically 1/1000th of a second. This is why I can actually take this unit, the Policy Buff DIGIBEE, and blast it. And that's a lot of power, by the way. I mean, that's like get across the street. You're telling a model to get across the street, and you've got the studio strobe by you. I mean, you can really put out some serious power at 1/1000th of a second, but you're still able to crush all the ambient illumination, especially when you pop on the 3-stop ND filter that's built into the Fuji X100T. So this is really the simple explanation. People are understanding that, well, I can do flash photography at any sync speed. Well, that's correct, but if you have a needle of time, say 4,000th or 2,000th of a second, then you have to have a needle of light. And, you don't have a needle of light at full power, which on this case it's 160 watt seconds of power. You have a cow of light. So the cow of light is not going to pass through a needle of time. I love simple, when you say kind of slightly crazy stuff like that, it always sticks in people's brain, and it's like, I forget why high-speed sync doesn't work at full power. It's, oh, that's right, I remember that fat tattooed guy was referring to a cow of light, moo, and a needle of time. So this is the simplest way to understand it, and this is true high-speed sync, since it's using a leaf shutter, true high-speed sync flash photography, as opposed to a different, and studio strobes don't work that way. They're building up enormous power, and they have a certain recharge time, and they have a certain dump time. They don't operate the way speed lights do in conventional DSLR flash photography, where say you're shooting your Nikon D500 at 1/8000th of a second. It's like, well, how come I can do 1/8000th of a second with my Nikon Speedlight, my D500? Is because that there is a moving dual set of curtains exposing a slit on the sensor, but that flash is moving so fast you can't see it. What that flash is doing is bursting out the light. But studio strobes don't work that way. For many reasons, as I've already told you. I mean, they're putting out enormous more power than a speedlight is, and they cannot pulse. There is a actual limitation on how fast those huge capacitors can charge and release and charge again, so pulsing light that way cannot work on a studio strobe. So I hope you understood that, and this is flash, duration, and T1 time, and I'm just using this user manual as an example. So the next time someone asks you why, depending on the studio strobes, like I said, a speed light typically at full blast is 1/1000th of a second. You turn your speed light all the way, 1/1 ratio in manual, I mean full blast on a speed light. It's basically at 1/1000th of a second. So while the Fuji X100T will do high-speed sync flash photography at any shutter speed, you know, you can't pass a cow through a needle of time. And thank you for watching, and let me know if you like my videos. You could always send me a pizza or a just kidding. No, I'm not. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.